Lust is said to be an enemy in the Bhagavad Gita. But Osho says that out of lust, love arises. How to have love arise from lust? Lust is called an enemy by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna has been greatly wise in calling lust an enemy. But to whom is he calling lust an enemy? He is saying this to those who consider lust as their friend. He is saying that if you consider lust your friend, kindly do not think that this friend will serve you any purpose. And that is why, to highlight this false friendship, he has used the word enemy. In the bracket of Shad Ripu that Krishna has mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, lust is one of the 6 ripus, 6 enemies. Lust must be called an enemy because most of us take it as a friend. If you do not take lust as a friend, then lust is no more an enemy. But we do take lust as a friend. How do we take lust as a friend? Whom do we call a friend? We call that one as a friend who would probably give us what we want. Our friendship is summed up in the popular aphorism, a friend in need is a friend indeed. So who is a friend for us? The one who serves our needs. What is your deepest need? Your deepest need is liberation, truth, God, peace. Your deepest need is truth, God and peace. You think that lust will provide these to you. That is why you consider lust as your friend. After all, our definition of friendship is a friend in need is a friend indeed. So if someone is providing for your needs, you call him your friend. You think that lust will provide for your deepest spiritual needs. You think that by getting a woman you will get some kind of liberation. Don't you see how mad you are when mortal love strikes you? Do you see how ecstatic you feel when that happens, which you call as falling in love? No, it is not merely the arrival of a new woman that has made you go bonkers. The woman has come with a hope, with a promise. The woman has come as God to you. It is not the arrival of the woman that you are celebrating. It is the arrival of godliness that you are celebrating. That is why you are taking lust as a friend. Lust brought the woman to you, and you are thinking that now through this woman you will get some peace. And that is why you celebrate that woman. Later on, of course, you discover that no man or woman can give you peace. So your hopes are dashed. But in the interim, you get some opportunity to keep wallowing in your misplaced hopes. Krishna wants to liberate us of our misconceptions. So he says that these are enemies: anger, lust, attachment. All of them bring false promises to us. All of them, in the garb of bringing us closer to the goal, to God, only keep us separated. That is why lust has to be called an enemy. When you stop looking at lust as a friend, then lust is neither a friend nor an enemy. Then you are free of lust, then lust is free of you. Free of lust, you are relaxed and beautiful. Free of you, lust too is free and beautiful. Yes? You had asked how to have love rise from lust. By seeing that you are in lust not for the sake of lust, but for love. Objects just attract each other. Objects just attract each other. The ego is not really attracted to objects. The ego is not really attracted to objects. Objects attract only each other. The ego is attracted only to the one who would really bring contentment to the ego. But the ego uses objects as means. When you can see that all your lust is for the sake of love, you are using lust just as a means. You do not really want lust, you want love. Lust is a means. Then you can let lust be and move directly to love. When you see that it is not at all effective to use lust as a means of fulfillment, then you leave lust in its own place and you move on. Rather, you move back to your own place.